Well, it's been 114 days longer than we originally scheduled, but boy are we glad to say this. Despite all the changes, no fans, so many precautions, we are still getting the fourth season of Formula 2 underway here in 2020. We start at a very unusual place. For the first time ever, F1 and F2 are starting at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And would you believe it? The heavens have opened. It is absolutely bucketing down out there. I'm Cars and I am back, and we are about to get the newest season of Formula 2 underway, and this could be the most promising season to date. Many rookies coming over, many hot talents, not least of which the Formula 3 talent Aiden Jackson, who became the champion with Hitech Grand Prix, and he continues his relationship with Hitech for 2020. Yuki Tsunoda has already got the first 4 points on the board this season, of course with the 4 points being awarded for grabbing pole position. Here is the full grid for today's race, and he's alongside Mick Schumacher on the front row, hoping to have a much better season than he did last year with only one win and no front row start. He's already made a better impact this year. Daniel Ticktum is up to third alongside Jack Aiken on row 2. Championship favourite Callum Ilott is alongside the Formula 3 champion Aiden Jackson on row 3. It's Valide Dragovic and Guan Yu Zhou 7th and 8th, and they're followed by Marino Sato for Trident and the returning Artem Markelov completing the top 10. Nikita Mazepin is on row 6 alongside Juliano Malesi. Robert Schwartzman, another championship favourite, down in 13th alongside Sean Goliath. Marcus Armstrong and J. Andrew Ruvela 15th and 16th, pretty out of position. Christian Lundgaard also out of position, down there in 17th alongside Nobuhiro Matsushita. Guilherme Samar, the rookie, alongside Louis Delatraz, who returns. Pedro Piquet is on the back of the grid with Roy Nissany in the second Trident car. So here we are, 114 days later than we originally planned, and it's going to be quite an interesting race. It is so wet out there that we are starting the race on the wet tyres. Now don't forget, if the track dries up, Formula 2 does not run the intermediate tyres. So if it does dry out at the end of the course of the race, it's going to be a very interesting decision who runs to the dry tyres, but you're probably going to have to wait till the track is bone dry to do that. Of course, in the feature race today, it is the longest race of the weekend. The feature race is first. It is always half the distance of a Formula 1 Grand Prix, so it'll be around, I think, 20 laps today. And a very, very strange grid, to be fair. We do have a lot of familiar names at the front, but a couple out there out of position, as we know. But of course, the big news, Mick Schumacher right at the front of the grid, convincingly beating his highly rated teammate Robert Schwartzman, who finished runner-up to Aiden Jackson in Formula 3. And as we said, Aiden Jackson in the pre-season show, Jackson won the hearts of many fans over the course of the season. So many sensational drives, particularly through the field. Jackson has been known to be a great overtaker. But one thing we don't know about Jackson, and many others for that matter, is how good they are in the wet conditions. This is going to be a test for everybody in Formula 2. This could be many drivers' first wet weather running ever. For Mick Schumacher, I think eyes will be on him. Of course, the son of the great Michael Schumacher, 7-time Formula 1 world champion, was the best in class when it came to wet weather driving. So can Mick emulate his father this afternoon? And we will be not letting long to find out, as we are coming to the end of the formation lap for this first Grand Prix, first race of the season. And just before we line up on the grid, shout out to all the organisers and all the drivers and team personnel who've been following the precautions following the pandemic. We may have no fans here, but at least we will get some racing after 114 days. Let's hope it was worth it. We're sure it will be, and it will have an extra element of the rain today. We hope you will enjoy, even though you're watching from home right now. Hopefully we'll see you all soon. Let's get this race underway. The first race in Formula 2, only 6 venues this year, but enough races to make it a season. It starts today. 5 red lights, green flag at the back, and it's lights out, and away we go for Formula 2. Mick Schumacher already down the inside. You can see a rocket start by Schumacher already as he takes the lead. Daniel Ticktum goes down the outside, and Jack Aiken's made a great start as well, up to third. Down to the back we have some movements. Mazepin's past Markelov, I believe. And Leonardo and Szafnauer have made a few places. I think there was a bit of a stoppage there. I'm sure there was a quick yellow flag. But at the front already, Mick Schumacher taking the lead on this race. And Dan Tittem and Aiden Jackson's up to third already. The Formula 3 champion up to third. I think he's going to have to let... I think it was Aiken back through. I think he might have cut the corner there. He duly lets them back through and retakes the 5th place. He's ahead of Felipe Dragovic. Callum Ilott and Guan Yu Zhou dropped down to 7th and 8th. The UNI Virtuosi cars will be very good to recognise because they're running 2 different liveries this year. Jackson is really struggling early on. He's already lost 5th to Felipe Dragovic in the MP Motorsport car, I think it is. And now he's being chased by compatriot Callum Ilott and Guan Yu Zhou. Marino Sato is 9th, followed by Markolov. That's the points playing positions. Mick Schumacher's already up to a 2nd lead over Daniel Ticktum in 2nd place in Madam's car. Jean Galao is up to 11th, I think. Mazepin's dropped to 12th. Giuliano Malesi, fan favourite here, in 13th position in the 2nd of the HWA Race Lab cars, taking over operations from Aiden Motorsport. Hitech Grand Prix in their first F2 race. Aiden Jackson looking around the outside of Felipe Dragovic, going into turn 1. Is he going to make that stick? We're going to probably lose sight of him just there. We do, but he's took it. Aiden Jackson, he goes wide, he goes onto the grass, and he's come back on. And Dragovic just about avoiding him there. And Callum Ilott's got through as well. Did Jackson come out hot of turn 1 there? And he's going to go back down the inside of Callum Ilott. He really retaliates Aiden Jackson, and already that racecraft is on show with him taking back 6th place there. We're going to have a look at the replay of the start. Mick Schumacher off the 5 red lights. He has been known to make great starts, and another one there, absolutely perfect from Mick Schumacher. Took the lead from Tsunoda. I think Tsunoda dropped down to about 3rd or 4th, so it was a poor start really from Yuki Tsunoda. We'll be sure to pick that up. I think he was that was Dan Ticktum there on the outside of Schumacher briefly going down the straight. And let's see, Tsunoda probably just too low revs. You have to have lower revs in the rain, of course. Dan Ticktum, great start, getting up into 2nd there, and Jack Aiken as well. So the big winners were Dan Ticktum. Dan Ticktum also almost took the lead there from Schumacher. They were side by side going down that straight. And the big loser, Yuki Tsunoda. Here's the start from Aiden Jackson's point of view. Then he gets off brilliantly, Jackson. He kind of slows down in the 2nd phase. He gets an initial great launch, and he passes Callum Ilott. Now let's see Jackson here. Did he gain an advantage? Not in turn 1 he didn't. I think it was turn 2 where he may have gained the advantage there. I think I saw a Hitech Grand Prix kind of off the circuit, and it was most likely Jackson as Mazepin is out of the points, his teammate. Down the outside of Tsunoda, down the outside of Aiken, has to really brake hard, and he's gone off the track there, and it was all 4 wheels off the track, so he'll probably have to let them back through. He does, just in case. He'll probably be forgiven for the first half of the race and in these wet conditions, but Jackson wanting to avoid a penalty gives the positions back. And he also loses out to Dragovic there on the inside. He actually goes wide there, and Jackson really struggling after the initial getaway. And this was a little bit later on in the same lap, as we saw around the outside of Dragovic going into turn 1. Did he make this stick? Let's see. Again, struggling with the braking, Jackson, in these wet conditions, but that's clean as you like. And then he took too much revs out of the corner, and that's how Dragovic got back past, and then Ilott passed him as well. So I guess Jackson, last of the late breakers here, is going to retake Ilott. He has to turn when he's on the brakes, and Aiden Jackson, certainly no fear on him. You'd think a rookie would be a bit more cautious in these conditions, but Jackson is throwing the car around, and it's not really paying off for him right now, but he is in P6. He is still in control of his car, and he still has all the parts on it. And now we're on to lap 3, and it's going to be round the outside of Dragovic again. I don't think he's going to make that, unfortunately. No. And the field is pretty much spread out now. Mick Schumacher out to a 2-second lead already over Daniel Ticktum. Schumacher is absolutely flying, and we could be looking at a performance very similar to Michael Schumacher in the 1996 Spanish Grand Prix, as Jackson looks around the outside of Dragovic again, certainly favouring the outside line. And Jackson is pretty much the karting wet lines that someone like Max Verstappen would have taken in the 2016 Brazilian Grand Prix some years back, and he didn't make it stick there. And as we said, the United Virtuosi cars behind him are going to be very easy to recognise. Ilott and Guan Yu Zhou running very specific liveries, different liveries to each other. Obviously, Callum Ilott, the Ferrari Driver Academy member, is in red, and Guan Yu Zhou's in yellow, I think, for the Renault Driver Academy. So, a very tasty lineup at UNI Virtuosi, that's for sure. And at the end of lap 3, Schumacher has took off and checked out. 3 seconds now over Dan Ticktum as Jackson goes down the inside this time of Felipe Dragovic, and he's not going to make that stick either. Jackson is certainly fighting hard in these early laps. The Formula 3 champion is once again showing his tremendous racecraft that he showed all throughout F3 last season. And just easy into turn 2. A lot of drivers have been really struggling with the exit of turn 2, obviously due to the undulation of the circuit at that point. A lot of drivers have been lighting up the tyres and going off the track. Jackson did it a few laps back, of course. And now he's going to look down the inside of Dragovic again. This battle is still going on. And finally, Jackson has made it stick on the inside there. This will be Jackson's first taste of wet weather riding, and he's making the most of it at the moment. Now, the question will be, can he catch the leaders? Well, I think the answer to that is no one's catching Mick Schumacher, already over 3.5 seconds ahead of Dan Ticktum in second place. And he is literally gone, as you can see. And, well, let's see how comfortable he is. Let's ride on board with him for a moment. Mick Schumacher just calm and collected. Always a man to watch in the second season. Well, last season was very underwhelming for Mick Schumacher. A lot of people were surprised, not just at Schumacher, but Prema in general. It was one of their worst seasons in Formula 2. Almost towards the back of the standings, with Schumacher only getting one win at the Hungarian sprint race last year. And a lot more was expected of Mick Schumacher, but he's always a later bloomer than, say, his dad, who was automatically on the pace from the start. Schumacher takes a bit longer to do that. He dominated the second half of the second year of Formula 3 Europe, of course. Absolutely walked it with Prema towards the end, and just dominated, winning 5 of the next 6 races in that season during the second half. And Yuki Tsunoda is already onto the back of Jack Aitken now. Of course, all these cars are equal spec, so there's no real performance advantage. As far as the team is concerned, it is all more about the driver in Formula 2, with every car exactly the same aside from specific car liveries, which the UNI Virtuosi cars are making use of. So, race order at lap 5, then Schumacher now 4 seconds ahead of Dan Ticktum. He is absolutely walking at the front. Jack Aitken third ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, who's catching him. Aiden Jackson's now second behind, followed by Dragovic. He's gone to a second ahead of him now. The two UNI Virtuosi cars of Ilott and Zhou. Marino Sato in the points for Trident. Great opening laps by Marino Sato. Artem Markelov, another fan favourite in the HWA Race Lab car, up into 10th place. So it looks like the team that took over operations from Aiden Motorsport last season, who were Aiden Motorsport last season, now HWA have come over from F3 and taken a point from their first race. It seems as Ro Nissani there in the Trident is I think he's got an engine failure. He has. You can't really tell because of the rain. But Nissani becomes our first retirement. Meanwhile, Nikita Mazepin has passed Julian Lacey in the second Hitech car. He's been pretty much put in the shade by Jackson so far this weekend. Of course, we'll have the sprint race tomorrow, and of course the top 8 on the grid in this race will be reversed. So if Schumacher wins it, he will start 8th in the sprint race, which is possibly going to be sunny throughout. So we'll get some dry weather running tomorrow. One can hope. Well, we love wet weather races, of course. Well, Julian Lacey, absolute fan favourite. Jean Lacey, the son of Jean Lacey. So many second generation drivers with Schumacher, Lundgaard, Lacey, Piquet, just to name 4. I think we've got another 2 as well. Christian Lundgaard, obviously the son of Henrik Lundgaard as far as rally is concerned. But so many second generation drivers this year, and it's a packed field. It could be the golden generation for the first time since 2018, when we had George Russell, Alex Albon, and I can't remember the third person, unfortunately. I think it was I can't remember actually. I know who I'm thinking of, but unfortunately it's just not coming to me right now. George Russell, Alex Albon was another. I really can't remember the third person that I'm trying to think of. My memory has gone completely blank. I guess we could count the extended break for that. So it'll probably come back to me later on. But in any case, Schumacher has completely checked out. We're going to be, I think in the feature races, even in the wet races, we have a mandatory pit stop to make. So I'm sure the drivers will try and push these, where the tyres to maybe the halfway point, which would be about 10 laps. This is a 20 lap race. And the field is pretty much settled down now. Yuki Tsunoda is going to have to make up for lost time. He started on the pole position. He's now down in 4th. And Mick Schumacher is just ever the comfortable customer at the moment. And looks like he's going to have a decent start to the season. Which is pretty unusual. Like we said earlier, he's been always better in the second half of the second season. But here he just wants to get going right from the off. And these conditions are perfect for him, of course. And, well, he's showing why, to be honest. And he's, once again, showing why the comparisons to his father are there. He's obviously going to carve his own path, but we can't ignore the comparisons. Michael Schumacher, as we said, the best in class back in the 90s and early to mid-2000s. He was almost untouchable in these wet conditions. Conditions very similar to this. And now Schumacher's going up to a 5-second lead. I think he's catching Tsunoda. He is. Aiden Jackson has caught up to the back of Yuki Tsunoda and Jack Aitken in front of him. And this will be very interesting if he can get any higher up the field. Hitech in lofty heights at their first F2 race. With Aiden Jackson in P5. As we said at the start of the show, continuing his relationship with Hitech Grand Prix, coming off as the reigning F3 champion with teammate Nikita Mazepin, who is down in P11. Just outside the points, no, he's P13, my apologies. P11 is Sean Gallard, and of Giuliano Alesi. Robert Schwartzman down in P14, that's certainly a surprise. Robert Schwartzman, again, like Mazepin, being really put in the shade by their teammates. With Nikita Mazepin, he does have F2 experience. So to see Jackson in lofty heights at the top 5 is really impressive, but he is the F3 champion after all. And is he going to have a look here at Yuki Tsunoda? Quite, he is going to have a look, you know, but I think he's going to be against it. Carlin and Jackson once again getting a bit squirrely out of the corner, but he was able to keep it together. And Carlin, as we said, running both two Red Bull Academy drivers this year, in Yuki Tsunoda and Jehan Deruvala. A lot of people expected Aiden Jackson to make the move to Carlin for this season, but it proved not to be the case. But with Hitech entering, he was able to continue his relationship there. So that's a good payoff for Jackson. He's right at the front, and Hitech are looking competitive in their first weekend. And here's Callum Ilott. He's actually caught onto the back of Felipe Dragovic now in the MP Motorsport car, really putting his experienced teammate Nobuharu Matsushita in the shade. We've certainly got some drivers really punching above their weight in this first race, and that's what F2 is about. It's about the driver more than the car. It is the Dallara F2 vehicle, which is all equal. It's more about the driver and the skill of the driver in these conditions especially. And I think we're going to be approaching the pit window pretty soon. We're coming up to the beginning of lap 10. Mick Schumacher 5 seconds out in front of Dan Titt, and Jack Aitken a further 2 seconds behind. But he's got Yuki Tsunoda and Aiden Jackson bearing down on him as we come to the end of a lap. Is Jackson going to have a look here? He's not. Jackson's starting to gain a bit of a grip more in these conditions now. He had a bit of a shaky start, but he's starting to settle into this race now. No DRS in these conditions, of course, so it's even more about the skill of the driver in these conditions. In equal cars and no DRS. It's a bit like the old days, isn't it? In Formula 1. I still can't think who the third British driver is that I'm thinking of. It's completely eluded me. It's completely eluded me. I'm very sorry. I cannot remember. I'll have to probably look it up and remind myself. and bring you to the sprint race tomorrow. Meanwhile, Mick Schumacher up to a 6-second lead. I think the prey mechanics are out. And he's coming into the pits now. Formula 2 pit stops work very differently to Formula 1 pit stops. There's a mandatory pit stop in the feature races, and there are less mechanics working on the car in Formula 2 pit stops, as we will see in a moment as Schumacher pulls into the box and changes the tyres. It also takes longer with less people on the car, so it's longer pit stops. Schumacher falling down the order, down to P12 now, as F3 champion Aiden Jackson is in the pits for Hitech. He's really eager to get going, isn't he? You can hear the car, but he's been held up by the fact that drivers are coming past him. He's just about edged Artem Markelov out of the pits there. And Aiden Jackson now down to P18. 22 drivers in Formula 2. So more than Formula 1 on a usual basis. So now look at two second-generation drivers in Pedro Piquet and Christian Lundgaard here. Pedro Piquet in the Charouz Racing System car, heading Christian Lundgaard in the ART. Dan Tittum, an inherited lead of the race from Mick Schumacher. And of course, I'm assuming this lap, the second half of the field will be coming in. Looks like Dan Tittum is doing that, so no one's taking the risk with these wet tyres. They can be very durable in the rain, but of course these are new tyres. They're 18-inch now. For the first time in Formula 2. These tyres will be making their way onto the Formula 1 cars in 2022. With the postponement of the new car regulations being delayed in Formula 1 till next year, that means the introduction of the 18-inch race tyres, which F2 is trialling right now. Callum Ilott in the pits, Dan Tittum in the pits, Jack Aitken as well in the pits. And there's a spin! There's a spin! And Yuki Tsunoda will spun! And is he going to collect Callum Ilott? No, he's just missed him. Oh my goodness, he's spun across the pit lane. And now Yuki Tsunoda is going to have to wait till everyone goes by. There's a Charouz Racing System car and someone else as well. I think it was Christian Lundgaard. And well, Yuki Tsunoda's got to go. Oh my word, there's a traffic jam here. And is that going to force the appearance of the safety car? Yes, it is. Safety car deployed for the first time this season then. There was a whole traffic jam there. What was going on there? I don't know if it was the aftermath of Tsunoda spinning. Hopefully we'll get a replay at some point. Here we go. So this is Tsunoda into turn 1. Let's see how he spun the car here. Everybody was very lucky not to collect Tsunoda there. He went right across the pit lane exit. Look at that. And yeah, literally everyone avoided him just. I think Callum Ilott was very lucky, to be fair. And what happened here? Someone stopped at there. There is an HWA car, I think. Or is it a Trident? Someone stopped at the front there. It might have been the Trident of Sato. Blocking there. I wonder if he's going to get a penalty for that. What happened to Sato? Didn't look like he had a problem with his car. Well, here's what Aiden Jackson saw in turn 1. He's just going about his business, and already he sees a Red Bull Carlin car coming up on him, and he passed some of the cars going out of the pits. There was an MP Motorsport car, I think, as well. And did he make a move here on Zhu under the yellow flag? He backed off. He saw the yellow flag there, so he responded to the yellow flags. And then Zhu responds to the yellow flags and hits the brakes. Jackson has to avoid him. I don't think they'll get looked at for that. So we're under the safety car. And 5-second time penalty for Marino Sato for illegal blocking. So he was the one that blocked the track down the straight. I think that's a really deserved penalty. Also a 5-second penalty for Yuki Tsunoda for ignoring the yellow flags, which is a bizarre one considering he caused it. He looked like he was going really slow to me, so that's a strange one. But Tsunoda, to add to the misery, is down in 19th place. And Marino Sato, that could be crucial. If Alesi and Mazepin and everyone behind him keep up with Sato could end up at the back of the field as well. Of course, with all the cars being equal spec, that could be probably back at the grid for Sato in tomorrow's feature race, sprint race rather. Of course, the top 8 are reversed, and everyone from the length down will start where they finished in the sprint race. Well, Mick Schumacher has had his very big advantage wiped out now by the appearance of the safety car. Probably going to be for a lap or so. And it's actually coming in this lap, so Mick Schumacher now in effect becomes the safety car. It's a rolling start, much like in Formula 1. Mick Schumacher already has experience with Formula 1 vehicles. Predominantly his dad's famous cars, of course. And Jackson there, reigning F3 champion, having a look at Guan Yu Zhou before the start line. Well, she can't pass until the first safety car line at the start-finish straight. Of course, this is the stepping stone to Formula 1, so pretty much all Formula 1 rules apply. We're going to run the penultimate corner. Schumacher will probably floor it round about now. He has. And we are back racing. We have not passed the green flag zone yet. There we go. Green flag. And already Jackson is looking at Zhu. Let's see what he does. He's going to go take to the outside. Back to the inside. Jackson is going all over Guan Yu Zhou. He's crawling all over the back of him. And is he going to make the move? Yes, he is. Wonderful move by Aiden Jackson. He's up to 4th. Great restart by Jackson. He was all over Zhu there. He was going in and out. A la Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet and Silverstone back in the 80s. And Jackson using some Mansell moves there. And he's gonna run wide. Jackson's gonna run wide. And is there going to be Zhu taking back 4th place? It is. Jackson really struggling with the wet tyres at the moment. He's looking to the right to see where Dragovic is. I can't really see him on this view. And Jackson really, once again, struggling at that corner. That's where he struggled earlier. He's run wide again. Is Dragovic going to make that? No, he's not. So, all Giuliano Alesi needs to do now to get a point is stick with Marino Sato, because he'll be dropping to the back. So here's the restart from Jackson on this replay. Terrific restart. So much more pace than Zhu in the UNA Virtuosi car ahead. He's going all over Guan Yu Zhou. He's looking for a way to pass, and Jackson was not going to not accept that invitation. Great move around the outside within the track limits. Track limits being heavily watched at turns 1 and 2, of course, and being runoff areas. So let's see what happened here. Jackson just locks up again. He's struggling on the brakes in that corner, and once again, just like the start, heads the driver through and continues on his way. So we've got 4 laps to go, and Mick Schumacher already racing away to a second lead over Dan Tickton. Mick Schumacher has absolutely dominated this race so far. So Schumacher leads from Tickton, Jack Aiken, Guan Yu Zhou got ahead back ahead of Jackson. We've got Callum Ilott going around the outside of Dragovic, and Markelov going down the inside of both of them there. I think he locked up. And Dragovic somehow, I think, has won out. Oh my word. And we've got a great scrap going on here for P6 now. Dragovic is starting to struggle a little bit. Callum Ilott down the outside. I think he's off the track there. Callum Ilott. He definitely had 2 wheels off the track. He's not past Dragovic, so he'll be probably let off on that one. And Markelov, well, he's been out for a year or so, but he's lost none of that racecraft, Artem Markelov. Certainly a fan favourite amongst the F2 fans. And that's the case for both HWA drivers with Giuliano Alesi. And the front 5, led by Schumacher, have raced away. And now it's all really a scrap for the final points playing position, because Sato will not finish there. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Could give Giuliano Alesi his first point of the season. With Giuliano Alesi having a year's experience already, I think. And now Callum Ilott is on the back of Dragovic. Meanwhile, back at P1 to 5 land, Aiden Jackson still behind Guan Yu Zhou. Looks like he might have used up the tyres at the restart. Dragovic and Callum Ilott are resuming battle here. Callum, one of the championship favourites this year, and he takes 6th place. That'll be 3rd on the sprint race grid for him. Artem Markelov will get reverse grid pole if he stays where he is. Sean Galal, good effort for him, up in P9 in the Dams car. But pretty much put in the shade by his teammate. And we hate to say it, but the most disappointing man for me this race, Robert Schwarzman. He's made no inroads on pretty much anything. I think he started 14th, he's going to finish there by the looks of it. Jackson still harrying Guan Yu Zhou. As we approach lap 18, Mick Schumacher has checked out again. And Jackson's a lot closer to Zhou going into the first corner. And he's looking again. And he's going to go for it. And no, thinks better of it. And continues on his way in 5th place. Let's give praise to Hitech here. They've really stuck with the leaders, especially in Aiden Jackson's car. Keith Mazepin, unfortunately, is probably just going to miss out on a point. He's going past Marcus Armstrong, Julian Lacey ahead. And we don't have to worry about Marino Sato because he's got a 5-second penalty. That's Yuki Tsunoda before he got any yellow flags, which is a strange one considering 1, he caused it, and 2, he was letting everyone through that was going by out of the pits. And yeah, well, it's going to be a scrap for the final reverse grid position here. Artem Markelov holding on to it, and Felipe Dragovic is dropping a bit like a stone now. He seems to be struggling in this half of the race. Callum Ilott has dropped him by 2 seconds. And the second half of the field is pretty much nose to tail. I think there's less than a second separating them all at the moment. And we're back on board with Julian Lacey in the HWA car, running a very familiar helmet to F1 fan oldies of old. Probably made no sense, but Julian running a very familiar helmet. Very much similar to his father Jean's helmet. He is in P11 and on for a championship point at the moment. I think Marino Sato is going to end up at the back of the grid alongside his trident teammate Roy Nassani. He will start at the back as he was the first retirement. Looks like Guan Yu Zhou has definitely got the legs of Jackson now. Honourable mention for Jack Aitken here. Brilliant start, and has done ever so well to hold on. He's done really well there, Jack Aitken. But this man, Mick Schumacher, well, I hold some bias, of course I do. I'm a fan of Michael Schumacher, of course, but he's earned the domination word today. He's dominated for sure. I mean, there's any getting around it. His teammate Robert Schwarzman being really much put in the shade of the championship contenders, and with a reduced calendar of 6 venues, it's going to be more this year. Every point is valuable, and of course you get 2 points for the fastest lap, which I think is currently held by Mick Schumacher, who I think before the safety car or just after. It was just before. It was trading laps, fastest laps with Aiden Jackson. So Jackson's definitely got some good pace in that car. But no one's catching this man today. Mick Schumacher in very much similar conditions, not really similar conditions to the Spanish Grand Prix of 1996. It was much wetter then than it is today. But even still, on the wet tyres, a Schumacher is leading a race like you ever expected anything less. And he's absolutely walked on water, very much like his father Michael used to do. There's no doubting Mick Schumacher's talent in the rain now. He's going to come through to win his first feature race in Formula 2, rather. Only 1 win last season in a Hungary sprint race. This time he's done it proper. Mick Schumacher now coming to the final corners of this feature race here at Austria today. In the rain, Mick Schumacher has walked on water out of the final corner, and there is the checkered flag. Mick Schumacher takes his first win of the season, his first feature race win in Formula 2 in absolutely dominating style. Mick Schumacher has shown the others how it's done. Dan Ticktum, a very honourable mention there in P2. Schumacher got the fastest lap with a 124 on the final lap. Junior Malesi is going to score because Marino Sato will get sent back with a 5-second penalty. Aiden Jackson up to 5th. Never passed Guan Yu Zhou in the end, unfortunately. And reverse grid pole will go to Artem Markelov there in P8 for HWA's first race. Taking over operations from Arden Motorsport. They get a double points finish, of course, because of Junior Malesi being in P10 thanks to Sato's penalty. So it's a double point finish for HWA and a points finish for Hitech Grand Prix in their first Formula 2 race. That's 10 points for Jackson for P5. 27 points for Mick Schumacher as he got the bonus 2 points for the fastest lap. And Dan Ticktum will be 7th. Jack Aiken will be 6th. Zhu will be 5th. It gets a bit confusing, but it will be Dragovic from Callum Ilott. Aiden Jackson will be 3rd. Zhu 4th. Aiken 5th. Ticktum 6th. I've lost where I'm trying to. Yeah, you can probably see it. I'm a bit rusty. We're 114 days further than we thought, I guess. As you can see there, confirmation of Moreno Sato and Yuki Tsunoda getting penalties. Tsunoda actually finishing behind Sato because the penalty was the same, and Yuki Tsunoda never really recovered from that spin after the pit stops there. So having a look at the points table, Mick Schumacher already with a 9-point lead over Dan Ticktum there in 2nd place. Of course, it is as you were for the most part, except for Schumacher getting 2 points for fastest lap, and Tsunoda being on the board with 4 for getting pole position. And it's pretty much as you were there. Kramer with a 7-point lead over Downs in the constructors, followed by UNLA, Campos, Hitech, and MP Motorsport, and HWA Race Fab getting 5 points, putting them ahead of Carlin, whose 4 points were by Yuki Tsunoda. What a race by Mick Schumacher. Winner in the rain. It's a Schumacher on top again in the rain conditions, like you expected any different. We'll be back for the sprint race tomorrow when Formula 2 returns. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow.